My name's Carl Tomlinson, and I would like to apply to become a member here at KAC Baptist Church. I came to know Christ when I was 6 years old. I grew up in a family that always attended church and talked about God often. And at 6, my mother was asleep on the couch. Oh, I'm sorry. At 6, my mother was asleep on the couch, and the TV was on a local pastor giving a message. And the message stood out to me because I was grounded at the time. My father was away. He worked as an officer in the military at the time. And the message was about salvation and being freed from sin's capacity to hold us in bondage. The thing that stuck out to me at a young age was I did not always want to be a bad boy, but I always felt compelled to do whatever entered my head or my heart. And that got me thinking about if I could be good. And I felt the Lord's hand upon me, but the next part of the sermon really took me away. It was the fact that everybody exists forever, but not everybody lives forever. We have a choice in serving God whether we will live in Him eternally, or we have a choice to deny God and we'll exist in our own sin and hell forever. I don't like eternity. Not as a boy, not as a grown man. The concept of it is, quite frankly, beyond me, and it scares me. But I know I don't want to exist only in my own sin and capacity for evil. I wanted to be what God created me to be. But at 6 years old, it's hard to understand sacrificing your life, dying with Christ to your sin and to your life. So I spent years claiming to be a Christian, believing in God, believing in Christ, going to church, but trying to rule my own life. And with each step of the way, I fell further and further into the bonds of sin. And the whole time I'm thinking to myself, I'm supposed to be freed from this bondage. Why am I not freed from the bondage of these sins? More and more appealed to me. My heart got harder and harder. My mind became closed more and more. To the point when I told people I was a Christian, they were shocked. They were surprised. They're like, "You're a Christian? I would have never guessed." And even that didn't wake me up from my path. I was determined to lead my own way, in my own style. By the time I was in my 20s, I was committing crime. I joined the armed services to escape from the penalties of those crimes. I had children already, and very little regard for them. It all just kept going. I had a first marriage and moved on from it, and darker and colder and harder of heart I became. And God occasionally was able to convict my heart, and I would return to the Bible or return to church or return to God's people and seek a way to be free from my sins and my bondage. But each time I refused to give up and surrender my life to His control. So there was no escape from the bondage. And I met Cindy, and we married, and we had a child, and she was beautiful, but my hatred for people had grown to such an extent that I couldn't stand anybody. I became almost paranoid, feeling everybody was plotting against me. My heart was almost closed off from everyone. Cindy endured years of me being unintentionally abusive, but quite angry at her and everyone else. And through this whole time, I felt completely aware that Christ was still with me, still convicting my heart, but I couldn't find the solution. My entire life, God has put people in my life that have pointed me back towards Him. One of these people is my father's mother, my grandmother. She prayed for me every day of my life, no matter what evil I did. She communicated with me any chance she got to try and steer me back towards God. My aunts and my uncles would send me gospel messages, books, tapes, songs, anything to return me to Christ. But what they couldn't understand is why my heart was so cold. But it broke through. Eventually, I read what I needed to hear, and God spoke again in my heart that you have to die with me. You have to give up your life. You cannot put your sin and your will above me and in my place. And when He did that, He started changing a great deal in my life quite quickly. He put in me the need to read His Word. He put in me the need to pray. He put in with me the need to communicate with others of faith what He was showing me. And then eventually, when I was ready, He called me to return to church. And that was the hardest one for me, because I was perfectly fine with just me and God, and I still didn't like people. And when I returned to church, the first thing He did was put in front of me Bob and Kathy and their need for help in attending church. And I didn't want to help people because I don't like people. But God knew that service was the way I was supposed to serve Him. And in helping them, they helped me see more of God. God's glory has been with me from the beginning. And much like Cindy, enduring all the hardship I put her through, God has never been with me in sin, but He and His love has endured my sin. I hope that you will allow me to become a member here and share in God's glory with you in doing His work.